Thank you for tuning in tonight to the first episode of Authentically You. And I'm super excited about it because it is actually one of my nearest and dearest friends that I'm going to be introducing you to tonight. And her name is Dr. Taylor Opel. So,
Hello. Hi, Anna.
hi.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, I met Dr. Opel when she was working for Habit, which tell people a little bit what that is.
So Habit is the human animal, it stands for Human Animal Bond in Tennessee, and it is a therapy dog program out of the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, their veterinary school, and they have dogs that they place in nursing homes. They visit schools. Some of them go to courtrooms to help out with children who are going through court cases.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're basically like comfort dogs that will go in and help a little de-stress during some stressful situations, or maybe just give a little bit of comfort.
I think that's awesome. And I met her at a function that was actually raising funds in support of Habit. And I found out very quickly that she was in the military. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, but wait a second. Okay, so you're a doctor of veterinary medicine?
Yes, correct. I'm a veterinarian.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're a veterinarian in the military.
Yes.
So you will be a veteran you'll be a vet who was a veteran.
I'm a vet. I'll be a vet.
Okay, gotcha. So tell me a little bit about how being a veterinarian in the military actually works.
Sure. So as an Army veterinarian, we do a couple different things. One of them is the animal care. So we take care of military working dogs. We take care of, there's military horses. There's also some sea life. So they train dolphins and seals down in San Diego with the Navy.
Wow.
So we have this whole big animal mission, as well as we take care of the animals of service members, so privately owned animals from service members. And then we also do public health side, where we are doing food inspection, so human food inspection. So any of the food that our service members are eating, a veterinary food inspector will go and make sure it's safe and healthy for our soldiers. So that's kind of the side that not a lot of people know vets do. We do a lot of food safety things out in the world there.
That's extremely interesting. So definitely choosing to when I first met you, I literally was extremely confused. I was like, she's here. I knew that you were studying for your master's at that time. And what did you end up getting your master's degree in at UT?
I went back to UT after I got my vet degree, and I've been in the military for a while. And so the military sent me back to get my master's in public health, in veterinary public health. And I did an emphasis in what's called the human animal bond, which includes a lot of the, service dogs, therapy dog programs. And so I got into that emphasis, and that's why I was working for the Habit program.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, all the puzzle pieces fit now, so I'm good with all of that. Now, I obviously, having known you as a person, I do know a little bit about the path that you've chosen, and now the people who are joining us actually know. But was there a particular time in your life where you had what therapists call an aha moment, and everything just changed for you? And where are you from originally first? Let me ask that.
Originally, I was born in Los Angeles and grew up in California. We moved around a lot, so kind of all over Southern and Northern California.
Okay. So you were actually an LA native.
Yes, born in downtown Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah, lived in Los Angeles.
Isn't that a rarity?
I think so. I think there's a lot of transplants into LA, and the LA area, the metro area, is so huge. To say you're from LA is kind of really big, but I was actually from Los Angeles, the city, and not just like a suburb, which is I think a little bit unique.
That's so exciting. is the traffic as bad as they say?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I
I
would
was always
The
curious.
traffic is horrible. It's gotten worse since I've moved away, and every time I go
Wow.
back to visit my family, I'm just like, I'm never coming back here again. It's so bad.
Wow. So do you think that growing up, you said you moved around a lot. Do you think that uh that really shaped who you have become as a woman, or do you think that it led you on a different path? Like, or do you, I mean, basically, how did your growing up years shape the person that you are today?
I think that since I grew up in the city, I really wanted to get away from the city. And so I just wanted to get out and like live in a ranch in Montana and raise cattle and be as far away from people as possible.
And raise
So
cattle. I
I
did not
think
expect that. Okay. Raising
I,
cattle
I
now.
I I went I have an uncle who lives in Montana, and I went up several times when I was a teenager and worked the ranch up there and just
Wow.
absolutely loved it. I think that's why I really loved animals too, and nature, and just getting away from the chaos of people in the city. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then traveling around, we moved around a lot. We weren't a military family, but we just happened to move around a lot when I was a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so that I never had like a home.
Mm-hmm.
It was very transient.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere we went was our new home. So I think that's why I enjoy the military, because we do travel around so
Mm-hmm.
much. And
Yeah.
I just love seeing new places and meeting new people. And I get antsy at about that 2-year mark where I'm like, okay, it's time to move on. I've worn out this place. It's time for me to see new things. So I think that influenced just kind of how I want to live my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I like the traveling. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you
Yeah.
get an opportunity to experience different parts of the country, different
Hmm.
cultures potentially if you go overseas or something along those lines. So it really opens you up to a lot of different experiences, which, I mean, as we all know, make life even more exciting and better,
Hmm.
to be
And you
honest.
really learn a lot about yourself when you travel, because I now know that I never thought I was like, Knoxville. The hell's in Knoxville? Like that was the farthest east I'd ever been. I had
Uh-huh.
like no concept of what it would be, but I love Knoxville. The only problem is there's no beach.
That is
So
accurate.
that's
Yeah.
the biggest
We're pretty
drawback, is that there's no
landlocked in
beach. There's
it.
very landlocked. But I mean, I loved the feel, and I loved Knoxville. I never thought I would like Knoxville ever.
Yeah.
So
It's
so you
funny.
do.
It's
You learn what you
we
like and what you don't like when you get to see a bunch of different places.
Oh, I'm sure you
Yeah.
do. What would you say is one of the favorite places that you've were stationed at this point in your military career?
Puerto Rico. I would go
Look
back
at
there
that.
in a second. I
Wow.
love the island lifestyle. I loved the culture and the music and the food. Oh my gosh. So
That good.
good.
Wow.
So good. And I just loved being able to go. I love the beach, and I love the tropics. So I think Puerto Rico
That's
is
so
probably my
cool.
favorite place. And
Nice.
I know it's my husband's favorite place.
I
So
gotcha. I gotcha. And is he pretty supportive of the whole getting up and moving to the next place? And
he is.
yeah,
He
good.
is. He really likes traveling. He wants to go overseas again. He
Hmm.
wants to travel the world,
Yeah,
and is very supportive of us moving around.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super awesome. So back to the aha question.
Okay, aha moment.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're traipsing along, living this sort of transient life with your family. You're also trying to escape sort of the hustle and bustle of LA life by kind of retreating into nature, all of this other stuff. Um, where does the aha moment happen for you where all of a sudden you're like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with my
Mhm.
life now?
So I was really into horses
Hmm.
in high school, and I rode at a stable, and I taught to pay for my lessons. So I taught kids, and I was working as an instructor and
Hmm.
doing summer camps and things like that. And it was my senior year of high school,
Hmm.
and I was mediocre student, really wasn't heavy focused into academics. I
Hmm.
had no plans on going to college, and I was just going to be a riding instructor.
Okay.
And so it was a rainy day, and a couple of the older instructors and myself were doing some paperwork stuff because the
Mm-hmm.
lessons had been canceled. And we were talking, and they were asking me what I was doing with my life because they knew I was a senior and I was going to be graduating soon. And I told them, well, I'm just going to do this. I'm
Right.
going to be a riding instructor. I'm just going to do this. And they both asked me if I had ever considered veterinary school. And I said no, because I did not think I was smart enough. I
Mm.
didn't think I had the study skills. I just hadn't considered, I hadn't really even considered it because I didn't think it was even a possibility for me.
Oh, wow.
And the thing they said was that they regretted never even trying.
Mm-hmm.
And so both of them said they thought the same thing when they were kind of my
Mm-hmm.
age and thinking about what they were doing, and they just were like, oh well, that's not possible, that's not even possible for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that they said they just regretted not even trying, and that was kind of that was a click in my head going,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess it wouldn't hurt to try,
Right.
at least try it. And if I don't make it, oh well, I can always come back to this, but just never even giving myself that chance.
Mm-hmm.
And so those two women, I mean, they, and I told them this years later after I got into vet school and had you know succeeded in this
Right.
path. And I talked to them both and just told them how much they really influenced me,
Mm-hmm.
and was like, that was the moment. So
Yeah.
after that talk with them, I was way behind because my grades weren't good, hadn't applied to any colleges or nothing. I'm like, well,
Right.
what do I do? So I went to junior college for a couple
Mhm.
years, and then transferred into a 4 year, and then went on to vet
Wow.
school. So it really was kind of like, a rocket ship after that moment of just, all right,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. And
So it's almost like they helped you connect dots that you didn't really realize
hmm
were possible.
yeah.
And sometimes I think it takes having those people that are influencing you in ways you didn't expect them to, or planting seeds of like, have you ever thought about this?
hmm
And you hadn't considered it at the time, but at the end of the day, it's in line with exactly what you want to do with your
hmm
life. If animals and caring for animals and being involved with animals in some capacity is what you want to do, what better way than to have such a big opportunity to work with animals, not
hmm
just be a riding instructor. I have no idea how much riding instructors make. I
Not a lot.
Okay. Well, all right. So maybe in a lot of ways, this was a great decision.
It
Um,
was. It was. Yeah, and I think that it was, what they did was, they took me out of this. I was very tunnel visioned at that point.
mhm,
I kind of had figured out, all right, this is what I'm going to do with my life,
right.
and that's just the way it is. And they really opened up my eyes to see that there
Mhm,
were other options,
mhm.
um, that I hadn't even considered.
And I'm
So
so glad that they had that conversation with you.
yeah, it
And
really was
yeah,
fantastic.
it's one of
Yeah.
those moments where when it's happening, you don't realize how pivotal that part of your
hmm
experience is until later, when you realize I was at that sort of crossroads, and just somebody made a suggestion that I hadn't considered, and I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I'm going to try this.
hmm
And if I fail miserably, then at least I've tried.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about.
That's all
That's
we can, yeah, that's all we
Yeah.
can do. And I'm not, and I think I've tried to kind of live that way. and
Mhm.
and if I'm hesitant on something, it's like, well, I might as well try it.
Exactly, and absolutely, and I think I admire people who I people who know me say that I am a person who will push a person off of cliff, not in a bad way. If it's somebody who I see potential in, or I feel like they can do something and they're just afraid of it, I'll find a way to kind of like nudge them off that cliff a little to say,
Hmm.
give this a shot. Um, because fear is the biggest thing that holds all of us back.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
just fear of failure, fear of the work involved, fear
Hmm.
of there's just a ton of different things that stand in our way, and sometimes it just takes a person to be like, boop, push you off and say, do this, give this a
Hmm.
shot. If it fails, is that the worst thing that you're going to go through in life?
Yeah.
No. You
Yeah.
know, so I'm really glad that those women were there for you and gave you some really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
They
sure.
did. They did.
Um, that's pretty cool. So, what professionally or a personal life wise, because a lot of us who, when we choose a profession, it is part of it is a big part of our lives. It's what we spend the majority of the time of our adult lives doing. What accomplishment do you feel most proud of that you can really sit back and just right now be like, I feel really good about doing this,
Hmm.
even if it's a work in progress at this point, because you have to start somewhere with something. Um,
Yeah.
but usually there's something that you've done so far in your journey that makes you feel really, really accomplished in a way. So,
Hmm.
is there something that sticks out for you for that?
Yeah, so I am really proud of being able to start and work into the military, the human animal bond programs.
Mhm.
And so what I learned in my master's was how to develop these programs and how the research really supports them when it comes to recovery from injury and PTSD and other
Mhm.
mental health, and also how they can kind of protect and prevent
Mm.
mental health issues as well. So what I'm doing right now is trying to get these programs integrated into military hospitals and
Oh,
also
wow.
into military individual units. So
Mhm.
we've gotten a couple dogs into like deployable units where the dog belongs to the unit and is deployed with the unit, and those dogs have been shown to really help with the mental stress
Oh,
of the
wow.
soldiers when they're deployed.
Mhm.
And this is still very much in the baby steps in the military. The military works very slowly with these things, but the research has come out in the past couple of years really showing that these programs help.
Mhm.
And so I really am proud of getting those, helping people, um, that I totally just lost my train of thought now. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're
um,
fine.
yeah, I really like helping people in a way that kind of combines my veterinary career, my love of
Mhm.
animals, and then my sense of service to other military members.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And that's what I'm most proud of, is getting those programs up and running, and yeah, just helping my fellow soldiers.
Absolutely. Have you found a lot of positive energy from the suggestions of really incorporating this practice into whether it's units or as aftercare when a military person comes out of
Hmm.
service, being linked up with an animal to help with PTSD or anything that might come along with that? Do you feel like a lot of people are supporting this as definitely a really good direction to move in?
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
more are,
Yeah.
and it's becoming a lot more accepted.
Mhm.
So I just got another officer asked for like some advice
Mhm.
about getting a support dog for a dependent. So the service
Oh, wow.
member's child needed a support dog for
Mhm.
school, and
Mhm.
how do we go about getting that into the school?
Oh, wow.
And it's gone from, mostly you get facilities that don't understand,
Mm,
or they're afraid of certain things, like a lot of hospitals are still stuck on the idea, well, dogs are going to bring disease into the hospital. Well, no,
gotcha. Right.
they're not.
Right.
And we know how to, you know mitigate those things.
Yeah, right.
And so a lot of it is education, because
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot more research about that. There's research studies showing that animals don't bring in disease into the
Right.
hospitals, and making sure that we're placing the right dog in the
Mm-hmm.
situation too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not putting dogs out there who are going to jump on people or
Right.
bark or cause a ruckus or whatever. And
Sure.
so a lot of it is just, and once you get that education out there, people
Mm-hmm.
are a little bit easier. But I think it's becoming socially more acceptable kind of in the civilian world. And
Mm-hmm.
so people see it more.
Yeah.
And so it's not like this big scary thing. Oh gosh, you don't want to bring animals into
Right.
places.
Right.
Um, so I think that as kind of,
Sort of a societal
yeah,
shift
as the
happens.
society shifts
Yeah.
into this idea that we can integrate animals into these, situations safely,
Mm-hmm.
that it is gaining a lot of support, and I'm getting a lot more units reaching out to me
Oh, that's awesome.
asking for help getting these, dogs into their troops. And
That's
so
so
that's
awesome.
really exciting, because normally it was me going out and being like, hey, there's this cool thing, you should do it,
Right.
me trying to push it onto them.
Right.
But
Right.
now more and more it's people coming to me for advice on how to put the programs together, and that's really exciting, because now I
Mm-hmm.
know that it's kind of in the community and
Mm-hmm.
people really want it. So
That's
that's
awesome.
an exciting shift.
Yeah, no, that's a huge kind of seeing sort of a seed that maybe you had started to plant in some people's minds is now starting to germinate, and you're
Uh-huh.
actually getting people really excited about the potential for like wellness by
Mm-hmm.
having an animal as part of not just a functional unit out in the field, but in all different ways that you just talked about, seeing it as an option for a service member's child. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this is great, and
Yeah.
it's just another way of solving basic human needs and
Mm-hmm.
problems that we have, and thinking
Exactly.
outside of the box, because as we all know, rarely does the line from point A to point B, is it rarely straight, and it's trying to find out how you get there in whatever way you can get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
If you, though, looking back, um, if you had the opportunity to do anything differently on your journey,
Mm-hmm.
would you change anything?
I would spend more time with my family and friends.
Okay,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, vet school and college, I mean, they just takes so much effort and so
Yeah.
much time. And there were times when I would just tell my now husband, bye, honey, I'm going to go study at the school. I have no idea when I'll be back.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And, and not going back and seeing and traveling back to see my parents like
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to. So I think that in the moment, a little bit I had to do that to
Sure.
survive and to get that goal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but I think I did miss out on quite a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time with my family, just because I was so ingrained, just immersed in all of the
Right.
studying. Yeah.
You were just super focused. How long is typical veterinary education did doc is it about
Yeah.
the same length of study as a regular physician? Is it?
Sort of. So it's 4 years of undergrad, so you got to have your bachelor's, and
Mhm.
then it's 4 years of vet school.
Oh,
And
wow.
then if you want to specialize in anything, you have to do your residencies and things after that.
Gotcha.
So to get your general practice vet
Hmm.
degree, you do your 4 years. And then if you want to do surgery or internal
Yeah.
medicine or something, then you go on
Oh,
after that.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the gauntlet. It really,
Yeah, it
really
really
is.
is. And it's highly, highly competitive, because there's not a lot of vet schools in the US,
Hmm.
and there's a huge amount of applicants out there every year.
Oh,
So
wow.
um, it's actually harder to get into the medical school,
Oh,
because
wow.
normally, like in my class, there was 70, and I think they had about 500 applicants. So it's highly, highly
Wow. Okay.
competitive to get into
Yeah.
vet school. So you gotta be on like 100% A game.
Wow. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, hey, I had
I don't know if
no
I could do that today. If somebody said I had to go back to vet school today, I'd be like, no.
right.
I don't have
Well,
the energy anymore.
well, that's why these things happen when you're younger. You
Exactly.
know, that's really, and
Exactly.
it's funny because a
Exactly.
lot of I sit with women of all different ages because I teach women of different ages. And I'm always impressed when I see somebody who's about to go into college or start start on down a career path, and they seem so sure. And I'm so excited for them. And I think to myself, awesome, because you have energy to do this right now. And then hopefully this is your passion. And that when you
Hmm.
get 20 years down the line, you don't sit there and go, well, I did a lot of work and now I don't really want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so hopefully you take the time, because it's such an awkward place in your life. You're 18, you graduate from high school. Now you have to think about, what do I want to start studying to
Hmm.
do for the rest of my life? Some of us can't even keep with a person for the rest of our, like, I'm just saying. I'm not it's tough to make that choice. And
Oh yeah.
I think that a lot of us who've been in that position, it's funny, like there are different paths that we could have chose. And you mentioned spending more time with your family, and I think that would be one of mine too. um, but for example, I have my master's in psych, clinical
Hmm.
counseling psych, and while I've done that for 20 years and I've truly enjoyed that experience, I don't want to do the typical clinician's work anymore. So I find different ways to use that
Hmm.
skill and that I have in ways that people have no understanding or expectation that I would use it. Teaching dance is a huge part of that for me. Trying to convince people that something that they have only put on a certain type of person or a certain body type or a certain age range is accessible to them. Things along those lines. So it's little ways of using it. My mom wanted me to be a journalist. So I think I'm now doing that
There
right
you go.
now,
Yeah.
right here. So, okay. So I definitely can see spending more time with your family,
Yeah.
especially when you're in that long of a gauntlet of education.
Yeah. It's
Um,
funny though that you mentioned the you because I'm kind of similar that I had to make a decision
mhm.
whether I wanted to stay clinical or not. And
Right.
I decided I was done. I was done
Yeah.
with clinical. I got burnt out. I
Yeah.
got a lot of compassion fatigue.
Sure.
And
Absolutely. I can see that.
it was a real kind of soul searching because you look back and you go, well, I've done all this vet school and I've spent all this money and all this time. Am I wasting my degree? Am I
Right.
wasting my life,
Sure.
because I'm not going to do clinical medicine?
Mhm.
And I talked with a couple people who went into the public health side of
Mhm.
veterinary medicine, which not many people realize is out there.
Yeah.
And there's so many careers that you can do and ways you can use your vet degree
Yeah.
outside of just working in a clinic. And
Mhm.
so that's what I do. I haven't run clinics in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And but I'm doing the human animal bond program, and I'm doing the food
Mhm.
inspection, and I'm, doing zoonotic disease control, and it's there's lots of other ways. But
Mhm.
I think it's true. It's like, well, you're into psychology. Why aren't you going and seeing patients? It's like, well, I can do other stuff
Mhm.
with it.
Exactly. And I think that a lot of us have to take those moments in our lives where there might be some additional interests that we have or different places we want to pursue
Mhm.
these passions, and see how we can think outside of the box to make those work together. I mean,
Exactly.
and my thing is you can't have new amazing ideas without taking those risks.
Hmm.
And you could fall flat on your face, but hey, at the end of the day, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on the road. That's all you can do.
Exactly.
So the last question before I do what I call my quick fire round,
Okay.
which thankfully you know that it's coming. And I actually warn everybody that does the interviews that it is coming. If you could actually go back though and give some advice to your younger self.
Mhm.
Really? Okay. Your younger self.
Your younger self.
Your younger self.
Your
What advice would you give you?
I would give myself the advice to stop being so hard on myself and stop being so self-critical and
Right.
stop thinking that you have to be perfect and you have to do everything the right way, whatever the right way is, and that you just be kinder to yourself.
Right.
And
That's
yeah,
huge. That's
just be
huge.
kinder to yourself because I was, and I'm always struggling with this, just beating yourself up over things
Right.
and just overly analyzing everything you do and being hypercritical of everything you do.
Right.
And I think I wish I had learned and started practicing that younger
Mm-hmm.
because now at
It's a part of who
my
you like it.
mature age, it's hard to stop those habits. And I
It
wish that
is.
I had learned early on, just be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that it's something that a lot of us struggle with for sure.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of it's just those formative years. We start to come up with ideas of the way that we think things should be,
Mm-hmm.
which there's no right answer, and
No.
that's the hard part as an adult as you grow up and you start to because I was extremely perfectionistic and I had a college professor who used to call me OCD. That was her nickname for me. She said, you're still going to learn the stuff that we've talked about in class, even if you don't go home every night and retype all of the notes and put them in plastic sleeves, right? And I said,
The same thing.
I said, I, yeah, yeah, I think no, you're right. And she said, so are you going to keep doing this? I said, right now,
I have
yes.
to. I have to. I have to rewrite
Yeah,
my
and for
notes.
me, and it came from a similar place that you did. I didn't quote unquote apply myself like parents always say in high school as much as I did, but went to college and really set the world on fire, like
Mm-hmm.
honors and all that jazz, because it was the first time in my life I was really doing something where it was me determining it. It wasn't these random people having these expectations of me. I mean, none of the professors cared if I showed up or not.
Mm-hmm.
I had to care that I showed up.
Yeah.
I had to care that I finished all of this and actually ended up with something. And I think I liked being treated as an adult,
Yeah.
even though I thought I knew everything at age 18. I had no clue. But that's a whole other story for another day. Anyway,
now you realize you don't know shit.
oh my God, no, 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 we no. 18, we think we know everything, and
Oh my
then
gosh.
we get to 40. I'm at 46 now, going.
Mm-mm.
That was just that was an interesting time. Yeah. So.
You know so much more than you used to, but you realize
Mhm.
you know so much less than like
Yes.
it's like yes,
Yes.
I'm much more knowledgeable now that I'm in my 40s, but boy,
Yes.
I don't know anything.
No, I get that. And it's funny, and I'm going to be interviewing men too in this Authentically You show, but a lot of my first interviews are with women because
Mhm.
I love women who are out there sort of trailblazing, even in a small way, like doing it their way, being a mom in their way, being a veterinarian in their way, doing things not exactly the way you expected them to be, but showing people that there's different ways to do the things that you might want to do with your life and not
Mhm.
being sort of afraid of it. Um, and I think that there is some cosmic plan that says women knew all the things we know and had the confidence level we do as we age, and looked as good as we did in our 20s, nobody would stand a chance against us. Okay.
It's so true.
Right. So I think there's
Yeah.
some weird cosmic plan that says your body starts to like develop some weirdness as you age, but your mind is like on it, and you
On it.
finally
Yeah.
don't care about some
Yep.
stuff. You're like,
It's
oh,
true. Hmm.
why did I care about that before?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, but I think there would be no one would stand a chance against us. Men, no, sorry. If we had the looks, the brains, the self assurance, and everything.
I think if I just had the attitude that I have now,
Yeah.
I would have been able to handle things so much better.
Well, sure. But there's learning to be had, and that's part of that.
It's true.
That's
Hmm.
totally part of it.
Yeah.
So the last part
Okay.
of our interview today, and I want to thank you so much for actually meeting with me. And for those of you who are watching this, this is actually our third attempt at this.
You're not supposed to tell people that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm real. That's where this is. We had a second amazing interview that was just really soul searching and great and wonderful, and it didn't record at all. And there was just that little moment of me that went, okay, well, there's
Take
that.
a deep breath.
Yeah, and reset. But the way I chose to end every interview that I do for this series is to borrow from Bernard Pivot, who hosted a show, interview series in France, and it was also a questionnaire used by James Lipton from Inside the Actors Studio. And if you haven't seen Inside the Actors Studio, you should check it out. It's very, if you like actors at all and like their process and how they get from point A to point B, it's a really neat series. But he always ended with these 10 questions that are extremely direct. You're supposed to not really think too hard about them. You're supposed to say what first comes to mind. And they tell a lot about people without really going into a whole lot of detail about some stuff. So they are the 10 questions that Bernard Pivot came up with and James Lipton made famous.
Okay.
So we'll get started and just whatever comes to mind. What is your favorite word?
Color.
That's an interesting. What is your least favorite word?
All right. I have to give a little bit of context. Readiness.
Readiness. Okay.
Because the military uses that. It's a buzzword in the military. It's used to excuse a lot of really stupid training.
Okay. So you're getting ready.
All in the name of readiness. So
wow.
I hate the term readiness.
You've heard it entirely too much, and it probably
it is
to you
overused,
okay.
And it's just like synergy in
right.
In like big business world. It's like everybody uses the word synergy until it is completely meaningless. Yeah. Readiness is the term. Yep.
Okay. Readiness. Gotcha. What turns you on spiritually, creatively, or emotionally?
Nature, getting out in nature. Yep.
Well, it's a good reset button.
Yep.
What turns you off?
Selfish people.
I could understand that. And this is my favorite question. What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Absolutely.
I know it's simple, it's basic, but it's just like so it's satisfying. And it means a million different things. That's exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Just so versatile. Mm-hmm.
It's a great word.
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I hate babies crying.
Okay. They can get very shrill.
I know. I don't like children, so babies crying is just like it makes me cringe. I know. I'm a horrible woman. I think
it's okay that some of us we have different paths in life, and that is
not
A-okay.
meant to be a mother. Mm-mm.
That's okay. Not all of us are. What sound or noise do you love?
I love rain at night because when I was in Puerto Rico, it was the best thing to just fall asleep when it was raining, and it rained a lot. So it was just the most wonderful noise. Yeah.
So you pretty much associate that with Puerto Rico.
I do. When it's a good rainy day, I just want to like open the windows up. And it was always warm too. So you open the windows and you get the rain and the cool and oh, just wonderful.
Well, that
Yeah.
sounds nice.
Mm.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would love to be a quilt designer. I am my quilting is my addiction,
Hmm.
and it's so opposite of what I do now because it's so creative and just, I do a very analytical, very
Hmm.
straightforward professional job, and I just love the freedom of quilting. So I would love to do quilt design.
Okay, I
Yeah.
did. That's definitely a left off. We just turned left off the main highway at
Oh
that
yeah,
point, so that's
it is
okay.
a complete different. I have this complete other artistic side of me that I don't get to live
Yeah,
on, in my work. So yeah, quilting is definitely my escape.
that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
What profession would you never want to do?
Anything with math. So like an engineer,
Okay,
accountant,
right.
a physicist, anything that has to do with math more than like 1 + 1. No.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Where
No.
your main focus of your day is mathematics.
Oh God, that would be hell.
Okay, I gotcha. I understand. Last question of the night is, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
That I was a good person and that I treated people well.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's very fair. Well, thank you, Taylor or Dr. Opel, for joining me tonight and introducing people to different ways to explore things that they might want to do with their lives. And thank you for being a part of my life and for inspiring me in ways you have no idea that you've inspired me. And
Oh,
I
thank you so
really, you're
much.
welcome. Thanks for actually being here with me to just sort of highlight real people doing real work. And my hair is now insane right now.
I noticed
Oh my
you got
gosh.
like a nice little
A little
bouffant going
pompadour
on. Yeah, a
situation
little
going
pompadour
on
going
there.
on there.
But no, I just want to thank you so much for the time you've taken, the third time that you've taken on this interview.
This better be the last.
I have looked at that recording button the entire time that we
I
were
have
on
to.
this. Okay, good.
I've been looking at it too.
Because literally, if it ever went off, I was going to be like, no, hold that thought. But no, I want to thank you so much for the work that you're actually doing for the men and women who serve our country. I think it is a huge gift that people do in a most selfless way to protect the greater good of our people and our country and the things that we've actually fought so hard to actually establish in the first place, and giving back to them in a way that is compassionate and very caring and very thoughtful, and doing it in a way that it doesn't necessarily only look at medication or looking at strict therapy, coming at it from a very different angle. I want to commend you for being part of the people who are pushing some new ideas out there. And I think that that's going to make a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
This has been a
welcome.
lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for
Talk to you.
joining me.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
very
and
welcome.
tune in for the rest of this series. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Taylor Opel, and this has been Authentically You. We did it!
I was, every once in a while, my eyes would go up and like, is it still flashing? Okay, it's still flashing. All right, we're good. It's still flashing.